Houseman.
Yeah, that's me.
Houseman. Yo, can I get them G's? Houseman.
You gotta give me the keys.
Houseman. Will I get as much as I can?
Of course you will. Who am I?
The Houseman.
This is Alvin B. Welcome back to Houseman TV, HousemanIE TV. And this is the place that you want to be if you want to learn about real estate. I have my special guest today, a very special guest, very, very special to me anyway, is basically is like my little sister. This is my cousin Janea. And Janea Brown, she's in Chicago. How you doing, Janea?
I'm good.
Good. So just a real quick story. When Janea was a little baby, when she was just born, I used to ask my mom all the time, Mom, could we stop by the house and see Janea? She's just a cute little baby. I always wanted to just touch Janea, you know. So it's my cute little cousin. Only like 3 years old at the time. Anyway, so now we're a lot older than that, and we both do real estate. Janea has had a real estate company in the past, and she has a company now that's a real estate related service. And so she's going to talk about that, but also the reason why I wanted to bring her on today is because Janea just recently did an investment in Detroit, Michigan. And since I'm going to be up in Detroit and doing some stuff up there, I wanted to talk to you about that, Janea, and how that went, and just kind of go over the numbers and everything, and talk about how you got into the deal. So without further ado, Janea Brown.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah, all right. So Janea, please first tell me a little bit about your background in real estate, the experience you've had, stuff like that.
Okay. So I've been in real estate for over 20 years. My father got me in real estate. I own my own mortgage company, and then me and my husband started buying houses. And during that time, so we bought, so we were basically worth over $1 million with property and the business. And then around that time, we were in our 20s, and that's when the mortgage thing kind of exploded. The bottom fell out, or whatever, the bubble bust. And so we basically, we were just buying property. We didn't have a plan, fixing it, buying them, fixing them. And then one day, everybody, the bubble bust, and we lost our property. It was funny, as I remember we went to an attorney, and he just looked at us and said, "Did y'all just wake up one day and said y'all wanted to buy some property?" And we was like, "Yeah, that is exactly what happened." So we kind of regrouped and got ourselves together, and then and just studying more, reading more, and figuring out, okay, let's do this strategically. And so since my background is lending and I did a lot of that, I watched, did hard money deals, a lot of mortgage deals. And so I was able to do this deal and just basically be the supply, front person for my nephew to buy the house, and knew how I wanted to charge him, knew I needed to have protection for ourselves just in case if my nephew didn't do what he was supposed to do. And so, yeah, that's how that went. And we end up fronting the money, and my nephew did some work, and then a buyer came by and said, "Hey, you want to buy it?" So that's how that went.
Okay, cool. I guess we all done now, huh? So you ain't gonna get away that easy. So so let's back up a little bit, because I didn't know little cuz had $1 million worth of property back in the day. I knew little cuz was doing work, putting in mad work, back during the boom years. And when I was out here, I was running around trying to find some property and didn't know what I was doing back then to save my life. But I remember you were always on the phone with me trying to tell me what to do. Go look at this, go
Yeah.
look at that, run these numbers, all that stuff. And I appreciated every last minute of it, because if nothing else, it kind of brought us closer after not really talking that much over the last, whatever that, however many years that was. I
Right.
guess what, 10, 15 years, something like that. Just,
Right.
I guess we probably should back up and let everybody know that I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, which is about what, 2,500 miles away from Detroit, Michigan, where that's where Janea grew up. And
Mhm.
so when we first moved away in '76, I was about 5 years old. Janea was still a little baby, and we would visit back and forth. They would come out and visit us sometimes. Remember those trips to the Desert Museum, Old
Yeah.
Tucson,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we would do that. And then as we got older, you go to college and, you get married and start a family and all that stuff. And this was before Facebook. So,
Yeah.
we had lost touch for a while. And then I
Well, you had
started.
came over and stayed with us for a while, and I was like, "Oh, cool."
Oh
You
yeah, that's right.
know,
That's right.
huh?
Yeah. When I was that was just after high school graduation when that
Yeah.
happened.
I
So
remember
yes.
all those rap songs, Cool Mo D, Houdini, NWA. Because all my older cousins were playing that.
trying to corrupt you at an early age. So if anybody that's watching this right now doesn't know who those people are, then you need to look them up on YouTube. So, but I'm thinking that most of the people that are watching this probably know who they are. So,
Right, right.
so anyway, so yeah, since we had grown up, kind of grown apart over the years, and then I was curious about real estate and trying to figure out, how am I going to get my piece of this American dream that's promised to everybody, but yet I'm finding myself consumed with going to work every day, getting up early, going to work,
Mhm.
spending all day there. I think, taking the kids to football practice, baseball, everything that a good dad is supposed to do,
Right.
just not finding enough time to figure out how am I going to come up. So
Yeah.
I reached out to Janae, and Janae started giving me advice on real estate. And so fast forward to now, Janae ended up getting involved in doing more and more real estate. So tell me about what you were doing back then, though, Janae, that you and Kenny ended up having, what you say, over $1 million worth of property.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Um.
what
So in
was
the
it that you were
mortgage,
doing?
we just basically, since the business that the mortgage company that I ran, we specialize with bad credit, and so um there were some people that just let go of their property, and we would just pick it up and buy it, and that's how we
And
did
why were they letting go of the property?
it. Because they were distressed. They were, the property was in distress. The owners sometimes just want to give it up. It could be an investor. Um, and so we had a system going. If they wanted to sell us their property, we sold it, and we also helped them also do creative financing so they can keep their property. And so we just, I mean, we work with people that was distressed, and we got a lot of repeat business and referrals. So, and we were
So
there to pick up, we picked up the properties.
so what were some of, you said that you did a lot of creative finance with people. So give me an example of something like
So that
one of
was
the
back
average.
when subprime was big, and I mean, our credit was pretty decent anyway too. So we just knew, since I owned the mortgage company, I knew how to structure the deals, in which we owner non-owner occupied, and knew what lenders was doing what, and so we just bought a lot of property. So yeah, we would take money out, rent it out, And then, but we just didn't have that backup, that plan is if they default, what do we do? You know, we just didn't have that plan piece, but we had the whole piece of this is what we do to get the property, get in the property, get people in the property, rent it out, and move on to the next property.
Okay. So, for example, so give me an idea of what you would do because, you know, I mean, obviously the deals that were available and, you know, from 2000, what, 2003 on the way up to 2009, they're not available anymore, but people can
Well,
still
they
get.
are. It's still people that's in distress. It's
Mhm.
just you need to. I mean,
Well, I meant
so
as
a
far as
place
those
like
type of
California and
mortgages,
a place
but
like Detroit, right? Detroit got hit hard, so Detroit properties aren't costing as much as a California property. Like you could like back taxes or whatever. People lose their house for that reason too. And so it's a lot cheaper. When you see the movies, you know, about the subprime, and it was like that. It was doggy dog cutthroat. It was about money. That's what it was about. It was about, like, I don't know. From my understanding, I guess the government said, "Hey, we want to give other people opportunities that don't pay your mortgage," which to me is the dumbest thing in the world. We're gonna give, because we want some program. We're gonna give people that don't pay their mortgage with bad credit to get a mortgage, and that's where the subprime came. And they basically, it was garbage, you know, and so it was garbage paper, and so it was so many people that took advantage. And so my thing was, I want to help people, and that was my whole thing. I want to help people. I want to help people. And some people did better and did right, and some people just continue to do, you know, and live. And then you helped a lot of people, but then um at the same time, you know, some people just got bad habits and don't want to change it. But our goal was to help people. We created a financial arm helping people. And then if they didn't want the house, then we were able to, you know, have them, you know, pay them to leave, and also make sure we have some money also to do what we need to do with that house.
gotten yourself a solid plan on how you were going to hold on to the property, you don't think that you would have lost everything?
No, I would have sold everything. Now looking back, hindsight, um, we would have put that house on the market fast. That's what I do now. Like when we buy a rental property, like we bought this building, while they were working on it, we put the house on the market. When tenants when I know they're about to, I ask them to give me a 60-day notice, I start putting it on the market right away. Because I want people to know it's available. And so it just seems like it has been a good strategy where people are starting to be aware and starting to see it, and, you know, and getting some traction. So, you know, as soon as they did what they did, I would have definitely had a reserve for that property, which we were spending the reserve. And that's what messed us up. It was the way we handled our money, our finances. It was, you know, I'm making a whole, I mean, in that we make, like, Kenna, I mean, walked around with, like, you talking about a man that used to work at Sears, tired, you know, on a daily basis with 20,000 in his pocket, 100, walking around with that, you know, it was like taking trips and doing stuff, you know, and yeah, we.
So
I mean, which now is not a lot.
$20,000 in his pocket, huh?
Yeah.
From Sears to $20,000 in his pocket. What did he need $20,000 in his pocket for?
Because he can have it.
Just because he could, huh?
Just because he could.
I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad at that. You know what I would be saying if we wasn't about your husband, if we wasn't in this interview right now, right?
Yeah, he dealt with the tenants, he dealt with the contractors and the workers, and you talking about in Detroit, everybody. Yeah, we had some bad, and I think that's what made him start realizing, you know, I'm about to because what we own a handyman maintenance company, and actually in our company story, we worked with a lot of bad contractors, and it's just craziness. And so he like, I'm just about to learn how to fix and do stuff myself, because we had some crazy incidents with the contractors, and but he handled all that. I did the paperwork and all that stuff.
What's the craziest incident you can recall that you had to deal with a contractor?
He could tell you. I mean, well, one of our contractors and his family, the crazy part, end up we got a voicemail and him and the tenant going at it, cursing each other out, going at it. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so that was one of the crazy ones. I don't remember. Kenneth remember a whole lot more crazy incidents.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned Detroit. So you guys were doing these flips. The mortgage company was in Detroit. You were doing all the activity in Detroit. I was telling you I'm going up to Detroit to start looking for some property up there. What can I expect as far as some of these handyman slash rehabbers, construction crews, and the like? What's it looking like up there? Is the whole market just full of shady people, or what?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. The crazy part is when we moved to Chicago, Kenneth still got people from Detroit calling him and asking him to come back because they couldn't find a reliable person. I think a mixture of is people not willing to pay or not wanting to pay, or assuming because your skin color, you're not willing to pay, which again, I get it, because the market we're in, we charge $85 an hour, and not everybody want to pay that, but the market that we're in, they pay that, because they know they're getting quality and good work. So yeah, I don't know who's out there now in Detroit. We haven't really, we do have a friend that is, but he has a job, and so it's part-time. He does what he wants. So I really haven't looked at the competitors out there in Detroit yet. So I don't know. I just know, like, between people willing to want to pay a good profit, but see, you're not doing it as a business. You're doing the real estate part, and having a team, and when you find good people, do your best to keep them. So I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
So then, so tell me about the deal that you ended up doing in Detroit, because this was a deal that you said that it was your nephew that actually found this deal. And so can you kind of start back from the beginning and explain, like, how did he find a deal? What was why was he looking for a deal in the first place?
Actually, the deal fell in his lap. This is the thing. When opportunity meets preparation, you're ready.
Could you repeat that, please?
When opportunity meets preparation, is when success happens.
And that is a quote directly from the richest man in Babylon, isn't it?
I don't know.
It actually is. They talk about opportunity in a section of it. So anyway,
this is what I would say. So going back to your question, but I'm gonna sidetrack that real fast by saying, like, what I tell my nephews and my sons. Always be okay. So going to Richard Man in Babylon, it says live off of 70%, use 20% to pay off debt, 10% for savings, and that savings isn't just for a rainy day. As you're building and saving and doing your budget and your money right, you should be researching, you should be studying, kind of have an idea of what you want to do. So the deal fell in my nephew's lap, and he needed a place. and so my husband already knew how to find owners to the property. And I knew, like, I was just sitting back watching them, and I was like, why don't you just ask us for the money? Because he's like, I gotta figure this out. However, it worked like this. The woman was losing her house to the city, and she said, well, they about to take it. You could just squat in here until before they take it. So, and it was like, why don't you just find the seller, find out where the seller is. So so he looked for the seller, found the seller, offered her, gave her offer.
Oh, so this was the tenant.
No, it was the lady's grandma. She was the granddaughter, I guess, or the niece, and didn't do right, didn't do right.
Okay, didn't pay the property tax?
No, she was just living there, and grandma was taking care of her, whatever, however.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And they just was like, I'm just letting it go. And so I'm like, to my nephew, he's trying to figure out how to get the money to pay the taxes. I'm like, why don't you just ask us? And so I invest in other businesses. I have a friend that owns a business, and so I loan her money when she need it. I just need to make sure that it's going to yield me a profit and that I can trust that person to pay it back. Really, I want to make sure and look at what I'm investing in. Is it making me money? Are they making money? And so the way I structured the deal for my nephew, I said, okay, because you have no job, and I will put my name on it instead of paying you the money, put your name on it. And I will do a land contract with you. And so that's how we kind of structured it. But it went a whole different way. So, yeah.
So when you say a land contract, what do you mean by that?
Meaning that he's purchasing the property. I'm acting as the lender.
Okay.
I'm acting as a lender.
Okay. And so basically what you did was you and just to put it in the terms of how I normally talk about it, because I realized that by going around the country to different real estate meetings and then talking to other investors in other parts of the country, we do the same stuff, but we use different terms. So for us, it's creating a note, essentially. But this is actually a short-term note because was his intention to do a flip or was it to do a rental?
That was the first intention, and then he changed his mind and said he wanted to just keep it. And then a neighbor offered, or someone in the neighborhood offered him. We bought it for $3,000, so 10 times what it's worth. And you can't keep it after that. It's like, I pay you 10 times what you bought it for. So okay.
Yeah. So how much did you buy it for?
Well, we gave the seller $3,000, and we had to pay the taxes and pay the taxes.
Okay, but you bought the place for $10,000, right?
Yeah, well, we bought it for $3,000, and then we paid like taxes and stuff like that and closing costs, so it totaled up to $8,000. And well, really 7 something, and then I charged them interest on that money, which brought it up to 10.
Okay, so tell me what do you mind sharing the details of the deal?
No, I don't mind.
Okay, so you said that it was that you charged them interest, and then all the purchase price was $3,000. There was all the closing costs and all the fees and taxes, and then so everything came up to about you said about 7 and change.
Yeah, 79,000. I mean 7,900.
Okay. 7,900. So we just call it 8,000.
Yeah.
And then and so where's a clear piece of paper when you need one? So you got 8,000 on the purchase, and then you did what was your deal with him as far as the money, because you supplied the loan, you did the loan for him.
Yeah.
So what were your terms on the loan?
So I charged 30% on the money one time, and
okay,
then
that was a down payment.
yeah,
Okay.
kind of. Yeah, just 30% off top.
30% of what? The 3,000?
The 8.
The
Everything else
eight?
was the
Everything was based on the 8?
82. Yeah.
Okay. So you did, say that one more time. You did what percentage of 30%?
Yep, 30%. So I'll get you the numbers.
So 30% of 8, that's 2,400. And then what were you charging him on the interest payments?
25%.
Okay, and that was 25% a month.
Yep.
Okay, was that
25% annual. No, 25% APR.
APR? Okay. And he was paying that per month, or is he paying that at the end of the deal?
No, he's paying that, it's like a mortgage payment. So his payment was like what, 400 for 2 years. You just divide it by 2. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so that was the plan, was that he was going to be doing this
I
deal. He
just
was going
paid
to be
it
paying
off.
you for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um, okay. So 25%
Uh-huh.
APR,
Yeah, 82,
which means
85. And then the land contract we did it for $10,770.50. And then his payment was, what was his payment? 675. So it was 575 a month.
so he was paying you 575 a month, or
Yeah.
he had not started yet.
No, he started it.
He had started. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the payment was 575. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody is writing these numbers down, because this is how you go through deals. This is how you figure things out. This is how you set up your basically, this is your premise for a negotiation as far as when you need money for somebody. So the circumstances with Dre, Janae's nephew, is that he didn't have a job at the time. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, dang, why would she charge her nephew so much interest? Well, it's because and you'll learn this as you become an investor, that you always have to assess the risk. In every investment, there's always going to be some risk involved. There's no such thing as a good investment that doesn't involve risk. If you're in an investment and you feel 100% safe, then trust me, you're not making a lot of money on that investment. You're not making as much money as you could be. You might be making some good, decent money.
Right.
It's great if it's an investment yield and it's over time, like when we do a note, those are great investments. But if you're doing an investment and it's not and a good assessment of the yield, I mean, a good assessment of the risk, then you need to start thinking about all of that goes into it. And those are all the terms of the deal that you're
Yeah.
going to be looking at. So, so for Janae, she wanted to go ahead, give her nephew a chance. How old is your nephew?
My nephew is 25.
25 years old, and he is doing his own thing as an investor in the mean streets of Detroit. And so how did he find the house? Yeah, you said he found the house because it
His,
was a
his
lady that he knew.
Now my sister-in-law, my sister, um, client told her
Okay.
told her about the house, and then she told Dre, and that's how he got connected. And he connected, and they found the seller because the granddaughter was taking us a very slow time trying to connect him with the grandmother. So they just bypassed the granddaughter and was like, okay, we just don't.
Now, who was the mother's client?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, what does the mother do?
Hair,
Hair.
hair and bake cakes. Yeah.
Okay. So this was a conversation over her standing there doing hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the the reason why I want to point that out is because I have to point out to our audience that when you're doing real estate deals are really about relationships that you have with the people who are already existing in your life.
Yeah.
So everybody that you know right now in your life lives in real estate unless they're homeless. And if they're homeless and they're living in a motel, then they live in real estate.
Right.
Okay? So let's be real about it. So when you have conversations with people and you just find out what's going on in their life, things like this will pop out.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that if you're not prepared, again, like Janea said a minute ago, opportunity is when what preparation meets opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever we were saying. This is just preparation
Opportunity
meets,
preparation.
and that's when things can happen for you. And
Yeah.
so if you're prepared, if you know how to recognize opportunity, then you could take advantage of it. But
Mhm.
people never find that golden ticket in life. We always think that we got to run down to 7-Eleven and play the lottery because we think that's the only way to make it. But our country, we live in a capitalist country. If you really understand what that means, then you would understand that there is absolutely no excuse why you shouldn't be able to become rich in America. It's a capitalist country. And so what that means is that there's all these laws that are set up that tell you things that you can't do. But do you ever think about looking at it as if the laws are set up to really tell you about the things that you can do?
Right.
And the things that you can do are way, way, way more than the things that you can't do. It's
Right.
just that we don't think about those things, right?
Correct.
So with your nephew, Janae, he decided to take action. He's 25 years old. He heard about an opportunity that came from his mom, who's a hairdresser, having a regular conversation. So if you guys out there know hairdressers, hairdressers are a good source for
Mhm.
real estate deals.
Yeah.
I think you and I know
That
know a pretty
talking.
good hairdresser, don't we, Janae?
Yeah. Yeah.
We know a really good hairdresser in the city of Detroit. In
Yeah.
fact, I need to see that hairdresser when I go to Detroit
Yeah.
because, yeah, I'm looking for real estate. That hairdresser could help me out. I never thought
Mhm.
about it before. We're talking about Janae's sister, my little cousin Maya. All
Yeah.
right. My baby Maya. All
Mhm.
right. So anyway, so so he found out about the opportunity, took action, um, was talking to his uncle about all the stuff that had to go on with the house, right?
Mhm.
And then trying to figure out how to get in the deal. You said, "Hey, Dre, yo, well, hey, hey, I'm standing right here, right? Why don't
Mhm.
you ask me?" So
Right.
he asked you. You set up the terms of the deal, which is 30% down, 25% a month, and that's APR. That's not what we call yield. That's
Right.
basically if there's a difference between one and the other, and I'm not going to sit here and try to explain it because I'm not an expert. I just know how it works on the financial calculator. But I'm gonna have an expert come on here and explain all that. So um so basically he's got payments that come out to 575 a month that are going to go to you, and he wants to hang on to the house. And his plan is what when he hangs on to the house?
Well, what he wanted to do was fix it up. Was it needs fix? It needs fixing. So he did. He did some work in it.
And how much rehab work did it need?
It was under 10.
Under 10?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah. So he did some work to it, and then he wanted to rent it out rooms instead of selling it. And I don't, he had a plan, I guess.
Okay. So what would he have gotten renting out the rooms?
Not sure. I think 400 or 500 each room. There was 3 rooms, so the other one was the big one was 650. The other one, I think, like 400. Um, and so it's 2 rooms and 1 room in the bottom. So he was thinking 1450 if he rented out rooms.
And so he was gonna get how much for the one on the bottom? 300.
No, for the 2 ones 400, and then there was an upper room that's like the whole big area.
Oh, so 400 for 2, and then 650 for the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. So his total on that would have been about 1450.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 1450, and then his payment to you would have been 575.
Yeah.
So
yeah, do taxes.
okay. So figure on maybe 650 on the monthly payments, right? PITI.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he would have been cash flowing about 800 a month on this.
Nah, and then you gotta take away insurance. So
Well, that's what I would include in the PITI at 675.
no, it was more.
Taxes and insurance. Insurance would have been more.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's Detroit after all, ain't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So what do we figure on that?
What an estimate, 200.
Okay. So 200 on top of that, 575. So we talking about 775.
I'll say 575 profit.
Okay. Well, you said 575 on the payment to you, but
No,
then
I'm
another
575 profit minus insurance.
Oh, 575 profit. Okay. All right. You did the calculation quicker than me. That's what happens, man. So a 575 profit every month. So how come he decided not to do it?
Because a neighbor came by and said, "Hey, I'll buy your property for 33,000."
For 33,000.
Yeah.
And so why did he decide to sell it? Did he?
I have no clue.
Because this original plan sounds like a plan that, first of all, I want to say this. This is a 25-year-old. Okay. So I remember what I was doing at 25. I'm sure you remember what you were doing at 25. And
Well,
I'm sure plenty of people, huh?
It was in real estate.
You were working in real estate at 25?
Yeah.
You
I
were?
got married at 23.
You got what?
I got married at 23. I was in college. My dad saw me like, "What are you doing? I'm taking you by my side," and that's what my dad did. Like I had a really good dad. I had a great parents, and my dad, like I got married in college, my junior year, and the next year I wanted to have a baby, and because my sister had a baby, so I wanted to be like that.
Okay.
So my dad, so after I had my son, I ended up working for a neighbor, and my dad's like, "Wait a minute, you left school, got married, and had a baby, and now you working for the neighbor," who basically used me because she needed an engineer, so she used me. But
wait, an engineer? You were an engineer?
yeah, I was going to school for
Like a train engineer?
electrical engineer.
Okay, I'm kidding with you. So okay, so what were you doing for the neighbor?
She would bid on jobs for around the city of Detroit, and so her company was she was the third person. So like if Detroit wanted lights or if they needed any parts in certain areas, she would bid the jobs and then order the parts or whatever. And so she said, "Well, I have an engineer, so they know what they're talking. She knows what she's talking about," which I ain't no clue what I was talking about. I ain't know nothing. School, all it does is show you the theoretical. When it comes to hands-on, you like, I don't know what this is. And so my dad was like, okay, look, I'm taking, I know you want to be in business. I know you want to do that. And I think that's what attracted me about my neighbor was like, man, she's doing it. She in her own business. I want to do this. I want to learn. And so, yeah, so my dad took me and he was doing real estate at the time. And well, he was kind of doing real estate, but I was learning about credit repair and all this other stuff. Like I was literally going to a desk, dressing up every morning with a briefcase with no clients, no nothing, going in an office, trying to find something to do and figure out what I'm doing. So my dad let me play, I would say play office, play CEO, whatever, play that game. And then we started, he was like, okay, she like real estate and got me into mortgages and numbers because I always liked it that anyway. I think the biggest thing, advice to your parents, pay attention to your kids and what they like. What do they play? What is their imagination always goes and take them to? What are those things? Try to pay attention because at 20, they will get lost. And you want to try to guide them into the stuff that you kind of already know that they will be more interested in, even if, because it'll be something that gravitate to them. Like my dad always knew that I liked the business. I used to play business all the time with him. When I was a kid, I was 7 years old and say, Dad, how do I make sure the government don't take all the taxes out of my money? 7 years old. And he would say, well, you got to get married. I said, okay, I'm getting married as soon as I start making money, I'm about to get married.
So, and that's that. And so those are the things that like, they don't teach us these things in school. Right. Yeah. So like your dad told you right before the interest rate dropped, hey, you need to start a mortgage company. Mm-hmm. You didn't know why you needed to start a mortgage company, but he knew to tell you that that's what you need to do. Yeah. Her dad is a genius when it comes to anything financial. He's a financial planner, does the whole thing, got all the licenses and everything like that. Was when I was a kid, I remember it was like, man, Uncle Alvin is so boring. And now it's like, I can't get off the phone with him because it's like, hey, what about this, Uncle Alvin? What about that? Yeah. And so, I mean, like, for example, like how Robert Kiyosaki says, well, the reason why most people people in the middle class pay the highest amount of taxes is because it's how you earn your money. So really, America is set up to encourage entrepreneurship, because if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a real estate investor and you earn passive income or income through a business, you have all these things that you can deduct tax money for, tax liability. And then the next thing you know, you're not paying hardly anything in taxes. And then people get mad because rich people don't pay taxes. Right. Because America is set up to make you rich. I mean, that's how it works, right?
Yeah, yes, America's set up to make you rich, and also it can set you up to be poor too.
It can do that.
If you're depending on government, that doesn't help. But yeah, it is a land of opportunity, and it's a land of opportunity. But the thing about it is, you got to look at yourself. The thing about, I heard Thomas Sowell or someone say, because America, he said, freedom makes you look at yourself. You cannot blame anybody for where you're at, because freedom puts that responsibility on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, and I'm sorry, Hassan just walked in here. I guess he was checking on me, but so he's gone now. Oh. But so yeah, it's. I'm sorry. Just repeat that one more time, Janea, so that I can get it again, and so that the audience can get it again.
So what I said, I heard, I don't know if it was Thomas Sowell, or another one of the guys that I like reading, but he said the thing about freedom is freedom. You have no one else to blame but you for where you're at, because being free is your responsibility. It's on you. You can't say this person, I didn't get this job because of this person or that person, or they don't like this type of people and that type of, it's on you. You're free. You're responsible for you.
Right. And having said that, that goes along the lines of the concept that you can never blame other people for your own problems.
Right.
And you can always say, well, this didn't happen and that didn't happen because of this reason, that reason, whatever. One of my favorite quotes that I can't remember who it came from, but you read a lot of stuff when you're trying to figure out the game, you know what I mean? And
Right.
one of the things that I read in my studies of money was, or studies of the wealthy, is that there are no rich victims.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody that's rich running around acting like a victim. So just keep that in mind. If you blaming other people for your problems and why things ain't going right in life, just keep in mind that it's because of something that you're doing.
I like that. You know, just snaps.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2 snaps in a circle, right? So anyway, so back to your deal with your nephew. So we were at the point where we were talking about what his profit is, which is $575 a month, which is funny because that's where he started off with his payment to you. But then he got the offer to sell the house. Now, how much is the house worth even? How much would it have been worth had he done the full rehab?
Well, honestly, the house, so we got it appraised. We looked at Zillow. So we estimated like 60,000, but then a realtor friend priced it on the MLS or did a market comps on the MLS, and she said around 48,000.
So $48,000 house?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much rehab would have been required to do 48,000 to get 48,000 for it?
I said 10,000.
About 10,000. Okay. And how much rehab had been spent when you guys got this offer?
Trey spent his money, but he didn't do it the way I told him he needed to do it. So that part, yeah, he messed up on, because so when you get a property, and you probably could attest to this, or I don't know. The way we did it, like Kenneth was telling him to go through each room, what does each room needs? And then write your list of everything, and then being able to do it that way. But I think he was kind of doing it on the cuff, so he bought too much supply, and so he learned from that. He learned. And then things that, like, he bought a washer and dryer and the basement wasn't ready yet, and because that's the plan. It was, he took up the floor, and so it was like sporadic buys, and so he spent too much on that. But he said around $6,000 is what he spent.
Okay.
So he spent stuff, like, I know he got the roof done. So some stuff he spent that he shouldn't have spent. A lot of stuff he did. Yeah.
So he spent about $6,000, and then he ended up selling it for 30.
33. Yeah, 30, because he had to. Yeah, 30.
Okay. And then because you were saying that there was something about the countertops with $3,000.
He offered the countertops in the deal. I didn't know it was a hookup until the day of the closing.
You want to explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, whenever you about to sell a deal, don't try to be throwing in stuff that you don't have in the purchase agreement. So yeah, he threw in some granite countertops that he didn't have yet, and the buyer was expecting to have it, and he couldn't get it. So we just offered him $3,000.
And that would have been the price, the equivalent of him having to go out and find the granite countertops himself and get it in the house.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I understand what Dre was trying to do. He was just basically thinking that he was gonna get a street hookup on some granite countertops, maybe $5,000 to $500 to
Oh,
$1,000.
right.
Okay, yeah, and have it be worth like a $4,000 worth of a hookup or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, and that is the thing, like Janae just said a minute ago. Um, don't don't hook no buyers up. You don't need to hook a buyer up, especially if a house is already in disrepair and they see you fixing it up. All these deals as is. When you sell a house, it's as is. It doesn't even matter if you just fixed it up. As is. Okay, that is your favorite word now. As is. Okay. So anyway, it how was so when the deal was all said and done, was everybody happy?
Yeah, except for my nephew.
Okay. And why was he not happy?
Cause that ass, cause him not putting ass is made him come up with three grand.
Okay. So the 3 grand, he's 3 grand short of what he had planned on having,
Yeah,
and he's not happy about it.
but he's okay now. I mean, he learned. He said he learned. He learned his
Okay.
lesson. So
And so when it was all said and done, how much money did he make on the deal?
um, after everything, what 17.8?
17,800.
Yeah,
Okay. So that sounds to me like a good deal.
yeah,
That sounds to me like he paid himself to go to college, investment school.
hmm,
It sounds like he got a lot of good experience because he messed up like all investors do, no matter if you're
right,
25 or you're 45. Investors mess up,
yeah,
especially on the first deal, right?
yeah. Especially on the first deal.
What was your
And
first
he
deal
got
like?
so our first deal. Oh my gosh. We bought a house. I think one of our first deals, we bought a house. This lady again going, she wanted to just let her property go. So we bought her house for creative financing, got money for it, and paid her off. And the next we put a tenant in there quickly, but we knew we needed to do some fix up. So we said, okay, hey, we're gonna fix this house up. And she called us that night. She said, it's roaches crawling everywhere in the house. Okay, we didn't know that. We just bought it, you know. So she left. We ended up fixing up the house and drama with that. And had to really super exterminate. What we didn't know also, again, Detroit, you got the neighbors who are family put in one of their family, and we just had a bad tenant situation with that. But yeah, that was one of the first deals.
So in Detroit, so neighbors will tell you, "Hey, I know somebody that needs a house."
Yeah, and sometimes that work out, but then you got to realize where you're at. You know, we was in the hood, so yeah.
Okay, all right. These are good things. Things I need to know when I hit the streets of
Like one of
Detroit.
the tenant that I have here in Chicago, her family. So she's an older woman, and I like renting to older women. I mean, not or to older people because they pay their bills. Older
Right.
people pay their bills. Um, but her family live in the neighborhood, and that's what she was looking for, a place to rent in the neighborhood. And so that works out perfect because she's older. Yeah, and her family and her mother's around the corner, her brother's around the corner, her daughter is near or whatever. So it just worked out. But yeah, from us when we lived in Detroit, you got people that's right across. Hey, yeah, I know someone that wants something. You got to think, what type of person is that? You know, and just
Yeah.
you put an application. You know.
Okay. So now let me ask you this question: are you going to do more deals in Detroit?
Yeah, we are gonna look. I got a friend. Her name is Brittany Lilly with Lilly Real Estate, or Lilly Realty, but she's with a different. I don't know. Anywho, and so we're gonna be looking at. You know, we have some money, and so we want to be able to either really. I like being the financial arm. I don't. I like that. As long as I have a way to control my money, I'm good. But I like being able to have someone else do all the work and just pay me. That's what I like.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what money is for, right?
Right.
To work. You don't work for money, you have money work for you.
Right. Right.
So that's part of that mind shift that we need to start making. Like as a people, we need to start shifting our mind to that because we always spend a lot of time, like I told you, like I used to when I was working, spending all day long hard at work trying to figure out what is all this worth. I spend most of my time away from the people that love me most and very little time with them when I get back and there's only a few hours before bedtime and then get up and do the same thing the next day. And then I'm trying to figure out now, how do I get this paycheck to stretch out more than it is?
Right.
And the fact is that when you start figuring out how money really works and that money actually will work for you, and then that's you can't imagine the freedom that comes along with knowing how to do that. And so that's why we have this channel. That's why we have people like Janea coming on and explaining what she's done, her sharing her knowledge and the wisdom that she has as far as just life, but also knowledge in the investment game. And and one of the things that I did want to ask you again about, Janea, is so when you say that you want to invest in, do more deals in Detroit, like what is it like? What are some of the things that you look for when you're going to Detroit, or like when you say, you recommended the people to call Brittany, like what is it that you're looking for when you look for a good investment in Detroit?
Um, we want to look at the neighborhood. I mean, that's in any deal. In any deal, real estate deal, you want to look at the neighborhood. You want to know the neighborhood tells you what type of people they are. Either it's middle class, poor, higher end. Is it a two-family neighborhood? Or is it older people, or is it college? The neighborhood tell you. So you really want to know what that makeup is. Regardless of whatever that makeup is, you want to know about that. That becomes your target market, and you want to know about your target market because if it's in a college area, it's a lot of single people there, and the house kind of layout too kind of tells you what type of persons or what type of people you're doing. So you're not going to get a whole big family in there, or the income is not going to, unless their parents are doing it, and then you got to be, then you want to know how to do a grand tour and all that stuff. But you find the neighborhood, you see what type of people is in. I don't believe in, some people say, well, this is an upcoming neighborhood. Whenever you buy a deal, you buy it for now. You never buy it for later. It's always now. You make now money, not later money. And so, once you do that, then you kind of know. I mean, like if you're looking for a middle class, then you look for a middle class neighborhood, if you're looking for low income, then that's where you go, to a low income neighborhood. If you're looking for college students and want to work with the parents, then you do that also. So that's the biggest thing. And then we want to make sure is in that area, what is the values going in that area? And then once you already know your values and your area and your target market, then you know a deal just by someone telling you, because you know those numbers, you already know that stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so when you so like the areas that you have in mind, like what would those areas be that you would recommend somebody like me to start looking in?
Well,
Because I may not know anything about Detroit. I actually do know a little bit about Detroit, but not as much
yeah.
as you.
I mean, again, it depends. Broad Street is the area where that Broad Street area is at, and Leslie and stuff. That's the area. LaSalle Garden South. I mean, those are up definitely. Yeah, you're talking about middle class neighborhoods. So yeah, it just depends on the pocket. Um, I just know that because one of my realtors just told me, oh, that's a hot area. Um, to be honest, I wanted someone. If a person says, "Hey, I have a deal," I'll analyze that deal right there. Really, I don't have a particular target market in mind for Detroit again because I want to be the backing. Um, and me and my cousin can talk about how much money. I mean, because he says 30% is high, so we can talk about it and see as far as a backing. I like that way better. But I want to make sure. So for me, as a person with backing, I want to know their team. I want to know, is this a solid team? I want to make sure that this deal is structured tight. That we have a plan A, a plan B. What are your options? What are you looking at doing? I look at that. And then I want to make sure I'm secured on this property. So if you flake out, I have something to back up on. I have something that's going, back up. I can, do something. So, yeah. So that's yeah.
Okay. No, I understand. So you just want to make sure that whatever kind of deal you're getting into, that you know the risks that are involved. You got a plan A, plan B, and plan C as far as the exit strategy so that you're not caught up with a property that you can't sell or you
Right.
can't rent out. It's a piece of crap. I know that happens to people a lot that, they're from out of town. They want to invest in the Midwest, especially in Detroit,
Yeah.
because the prices are rock bottom. But a $500 house can turn into a $10,000 money pit, because once you sign your name on the dotted line, you're responsible for whatever debt has been attached to that location.
Right. And that's why you want to know who's the crew that's working on it. You want to know, okay, you want to know how good is the people that's going to be doing the work. As an investor, I want to know that they know what they're doing, or if they don't know what they're doing. Like my nephew, Henson Case, didn't know what he was doing, but we were there helping him and walking us through. So maybe I may have found a market where I can talk to some young people and say, hey, if y'all want to, I'll show y'all how to do it, and we'll I'll make my profit, you make yours. Maybe that's an area I can go into, but I want them to do the legwork.
Okay. Yeah, well, it only makes sense. And now when you speak on that, is your nephew out there looking for more deals right now?
I don't know. I gotta talk to him. I'm talking to him and my husband. We'll see.
Okay.
I think he is. He's yeah, there. And now my son wants to do it, which is cool. He just works 7 days a week.
So that's the funny thing about when people make money in real estate. It becomes very, very contagious very quickly among family members, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I interviewed a friend of mine, Farah, who had done some real estate deals with some mobile homes,
Okay.
and she said by the time she got done with the second one, she had family members asking, "Hey, can you invest my money too?" And even my partners, that's the way it happened for her and her husband.
Wow.
They had done a couple deals, and then next thing you know, family members wanted in on the action.
Wow.
So, but not everybody's money is good money. Don't think just because you got money that we want your money, because we don't want your phone calls, okay?
You don't want your headache and your
Yeah, we don't want your bad
something to
temper.
go
Your
right.
bad, yeah. I mean, sometimes look, there's so much money available in the real estate game, that if you got a good deal, you can pretty much pick and choose who you want to get your money from.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is that there's always this thing that people have when you tell them that you do real estate, and they think that you're gonna be hitting them up for their money, and it's like, no, I don't want your money, dog. In fact, don't even ask me to put no money in a deal for you, because if you want to learn this, you got to learn it yourself. Then I'll put some money in a deal for you. But
The way I do it, that's okay. So if you find someone like that, because we'll put our money in, but we'll land contracted. We'll take control over the house and land contracted too.
And that's exactly how I was gonna say. Yeah, if there's any deals to be done, it's like, yeah, you can get a piece of the deal. I'll work you into the deal.
Right.
That's for people that don't,
Know what
without
they're doing.
experience.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that way, it's a lot simpler for them too, because I mean, the things can get really um, create structurally creative really quick.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then you tell somebody something and they don't think that they hearing the right thing, and then the next thing you're getting fussed at about what you trying to do with my money, dog. Like,
Right. Right. Yeah.
so yeah, so it's yeah, it's just like that sometimes. But anyway, so your advice is to, when you go up to Detroit, just make sure that you got a good solid crew up there that you can work with as far as your construction people. We got Brittany up there, so we know Brittany can find us some nice properties. But once we find those properties, we got to be able to get the team on it so
Yeah.
that we
I do
know
that.
we can get construction done, get it cleaned out and all that, and
Mhm.
then properly rent it out or disposed of by selling it to somebody either local or another investor.
Yep. How do you execute it?
Right. Okay. So we have a plan. We definitely have a plan on how to do that, and it's not available anywhere. I'm not sharing that plan with anybody, but we got some things in the works. Now, Janae, you have a plan too. So you have your company, your maintenance company, and what do you do with your maintenance company, and what are your future plans with that? Because that's actually something that it's the type of business that real estate investors could actually use your services. So please explain.
So we own a handyman maintenance company, Proactive Prevention. Um, and we handle we're minor electrical, plumbing, heating and cooling, and basically do everything you need as far as a handyman in the house. Um, and really, our plan is to help. One thing we know is that landlords, even homeowners, when you buy a property, you want to keep it up because, again, you never know when you're going to sell it, or. And so, what we do, our job is to maintain your property and keep it at that, keep it that value or help it to increase in value. Um, by proactively maintaining your property, and being there to handle your fix it list, um, in your property.
Okay. And so when you do this is like what types of buildings do you usually do this for? How large of a property would I need,
We
or
do
does
it
it even
for,
matter?
it doesn't matter. We condos, homeowners, second, we got people with second homes, buildings, commercial buildings, commercial properties, um, HOA associations, their whole condo building, the common areas. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, so do you do like the type of stuff that I would need a person would need to do a rehab?
No, no,
Okay.
we would not, because rehabs you would, unless it's what we call lipstick on a pig. Um,
Okay.
so it's two different sides with real estate. You got the full blown rehab where you got, look, I'm just wholesaling, or I'm just basically putting lipstick on a pig. This house don't need that much work, and we're just yeah, we're just up decorating it or making it look nice so we can sell it.
Okay. Lipstick on a pig.
Yep, lipstick on a pig.
All right. So now, what are your future plans with the
With our
company?
company. Also, with our company, right now we're here in Chicago in the north side downtown area. Our goal is to expand. Our goal is to help homeowners learn to be proactive instead of reactive, and businesses. Um, People react when the boiler breaks. People react when stuff happens. But if you could proactively maintain, you will save a lot more money and have your appliances and your things in your home last a lot longer.
Okay. So just by taking care of your things,
Hmm.
you actually save money. So it would be good for an investor to have a regular maintenance package on their properties, whether it's a large building, medium-sized building, or 50 houses, right?
Yep, investor and a homeowner. Yes.
Okay, so investors, homeowners, listen up, because even though I'm always addressing people who should be in the investment game, because we're talking about a lot of working class people on this channel. This is who this is for. It's for the working class people. So I am that person. So, a working class individual myself. And so to be able to give good recommendations for people, um, one of the things that, and I'm always taking this stuff from, the stuff that I learned from my mentors. And one of the things that I've realized is that, again, it's like, it pays to be able to pay for services that will basically ensure that your investments will be well maintained into
Yeah.
the future. So when Janae says spend a little money every month to make sure that your house is well maintained, whether you're living in the house or it's one of your rental properties, you should do that, because your rental property is ascending in value every day, every month, every year. And that will put more equity in the property. You're building up equity as your tenants are paying it off for you.
Mhm.
So basically, as your tenants are paying you every month, they're also paying you every month,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then the government gives you money off in your taxes for your payments and all that. I mean, we could get into so many things, but the point that I'm making is that it's always pays to have a good maintenance plan, a good management plan with your properties, whether you're doing it yourself or you're hiring a property manager, because your investments will stay with you for the rest of your life. It'll
Mhm.
be there to make sure that your grandkids are gonna be okay. It'll be there for their kids. So
Yeah.
it always pays. So, Janae, so without getting deep off into what your prices are, what you do for this, that, and the other. Um, oh, there is one more thing that we were supposed to talk about, Janae. You know what that is?
What?
What's your future plans?
What's my future
Yeah,
plans?
what are your future plans with your company? You
Um,
had an idea in
yeah.
mind
So
about
the
some
goal
move
is,
you want to make.
yeah, we got our 3 year strategic objective written. Our goal is to help a lot of people learn to be proactive instead of reactive. And that could be through a maintenance plan on their properties or in their condos. Um, our goal is to reach in other areas outside of Chicago, and into other states, and relocate into other states as well. Um, Preaching, I mean, sharing the message of being proactive with your home, and helping people. So, I mean, I guess for the real estate side, whoever's not being proactive, that's where you get those. I mean, you always gonna have people where you can find good deals and the houses run down because they weren't proactive on their home. But yeah, so that's our goal.
So now, what about the building that you said you wanted to buy? That's what I was trying to get you to talk about.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, part of that is to be able to whenever we get into a neighborhood, we definitely want to saturate that neighborhood, um, and we want to own a building in every place we're in, with our target market. Um, so I want to, whenever I buy a building or any property, I want to make sure it's making me money. Um, and so again, we want to be able to buy condo units with a storefront at the bottom and have and sell those units and keep the other 2 units for the storefront, and then also for technicians to ongoing training.
So you basically, your plan is to have an actual building that you own in the area in which you will serve your customers.
Uh-huh.
And in doing so, you're actually going to be building wealth for yourself and your company.
Mm-hmm.
And your tenants will pay for it.
Yeah.
So basically, you're not going to pay anything to become rich, is what you're really trying to tell me, right? That's.
I mean, you got upfront costs, of course.
Well, yeah, upfront costs. Yeah, upfront costs. Okay, so where's your upfront costs coming from, Janea? Who you gonna turn to help you handle those upfront costs?
We're gonna figure that out. I have not got that far yet.
Okay, all right. Well, you always got your big cousin on your side, so.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So, is there anything else that you want to add before we sign off?
We talked about books. Thomas Sowell, he's an economist, very, very smart man. Please, he has a book that I'm reading called Basic Economics. I'm reading that book. It's another book, Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is another podcast. It's really good. Well, they're not podcasts, but they're really, really good. And helping a lot of investors. I'm trying to see. They had a book called Fix and Flip and Rental. So those are really good books, like detailed nuts and bolts of Fix and Flip and The Richest Man in Babylon. Another book I have, Influence and the Mindset of People Being Able to Sell. Because as an investor, you need to know how to negotiate. It's called Influence. I have it, but yeah, it's called Influence. So one thing I say is, again, I understand. So you're targeting people that work. Yes, spend time with your family. That's super important. And then have time to study. Be a student to your business. We have a saying in our company: stop learning, stop living. We just made that slogan up. But I think it's always be learning, really. I think that's what we're going to keep it. Always be learning, but stop learning, stop living. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. And funny thing is that my partner Susan and I were having this discussion earlier today about how when you stop learning, that's the next closest thing to death. Because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you're learning everything. You're getting information coming in all the time, but are you learning new information? And is it significantly new information? Right. You can get new information, but is it significant? Is it relevant? Is it something that's going to make a difference for you and for your family? Mm-hmm. And that's what we're really trying to do, is just change the way people think so that you can have a better opportunity to support your family going into the future.
Yeah. And building a retirement.
What's that?
And building a retirement, being able to be, because at a certain age, it's going to cost more money, which they don't tell you. But yeah, building that retirement, being more in control of your money during retirement ages.
Right. And that's another thing about.
And we both.
What's that?
I said we both see it with our parents. We like, man, okay, I know we need to do something different. Social Security is not something to depend on.
No. In fact, honestly, just the idea that we depend on other people to take care of us when we get into our own age, if you think about it, the concept of it is kind of crazy in and of itself. So, there are plenty of vehicles that a person can get involved with, as far as a retirement instrument that a person can have to be able to have plenty of money in the retirement. And again, these are things that as minorities, we traditionally don't engage in finding these things out because the information is just not floating around out there where it's just easy to grab. You gotta
Right.
search for this
Yeah,
stuff.
look, research.
And
Yeah.
yeah, research. And so but that's why I want to do this channel, because I want to bring that out information to the forefront, and then you have no excuse. So I'm trying to make it to where nobody has an excuse to be ignorant anymore. Everybody should be coming up. So so Janea, thank you again.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciated you coming on, and my little baby cousin. I love you to death.
Love you too.
I'm really proud of you and everything that you've done. And is there anything you want to say going out?
Yeah, that was it. Read. Stop learning, stop living. And trust in Jesus Christ.
All right. That's a good way to end it. Thank you, Janea.
Yeah. All right. You're
All
welcome.
right. Oh, and if anybody wants to employ you for your services, what's the phone number that they call? What's your website?
Well, right now we're in Chicago area, North Side, downtown, Oak Park, and Evanston. My number is 708-465-7522. 708-465-7522. Proactive prevention.
Okay, cool.
We're
And
here to help.
okay, website yet?
We're actually in the midst of finishing studying our marketing studies, so research, so we can put together. We have the people on hold waiting for us to finish our marketing study. We're doing our USP right now and our positioning statement, and so then we'll be looking at colors, and so yeah, we're doing a lot of our studies.
Take one. This is Alvin B, the house man. I got a little bit of information for you. We're just doing a little supplemental information from the video you just watched with my cousin Jenea. So I just want to go over those numbers that we were talking about on that house. And that's the typical deal that you would find in Detroit. I mean, Detroit is just full of deals. And so if you could imagine having a major city that has houses that are equivalent to the price of mobile homes in Southern California. For those of you that understand the whole creative financing deal, for those of you that are taking the mobile home class, for those of you just simply understand simple investing, Detroit is a gold mine. And I'm gonna show you why. So some of the highest cap rates in the country going on over there. We got the purchase price, which is $8,000. Okay, and then we had the rehab that was estimated at $10,000. You gotta forgive the handwriting. I'm not used to doing this too much, y'all, but y'all get the point. Okay, so that total was gonna be $18,000. Now, Janea said that she was looking to get a down payment of 30% on the purchase price, and then do 25% per month on the total amount that he needed for the purchase and the rehab. So the 25% down on the $8,000 is $2,400. I'm sorry, that's the 30% down. So we got 30% is 2,400, and then we got the 25% of the total amount, which is what he was going to pay monthly, and he had planned on keeping this deal for 24 months. So that plus the holding costs, which is property tax, the monthly expenses on the what else is the property tax, and then you got the insurance. So that was going to come out to a total of $575. Just to show you how we do that calculation, what you want to do is, and this is an interest only loan, by the way, and so a lot of times when you get a private loan, from a private investor, you're going to end up with what's called an interest-only loan. And sometimes it works out better when you do an interest-only loan, because what it is that you take the total amount of money that you're getting loaned to you. In this case, it was $18,000. And then all you do is you just grab your nifty calculator, like the one I have right here, and you put in 18,000, and then you multiply that times 0.25, and that's because that's 25%. Times 0.25, and that equals $4,500. Now, there's 12 months in a year, and this is an interest-only loan. So what you do is you take that $4,500 and you now divide it by 12. And what you get is $375 a month. So that plus an extra $100 for the taxes, another extra $100. It's actually more like another 150 or 50 a month for the taxes, 150 for the insurance. So basically, the payment came out to $575 a month. Okay, $575 a month payment. So now we get into let's first talk about what actually happened. So what happened is that he actually ended up spending on the rehab $6,000. And so what ended up happening was he was pretty much getting close to being done, not quite finished. And then he ended up getting an offer from one of the guys who was working on 2 other houses in the neighborhood. So originally the house was supposed to sell for $48,000. And so now under that scenario, that would have been basically, let's just think this 14 minus 48, that's 24. So you're looking at, excuse me, that's 34. So originally, if he had done it the way he had planned on doing it, he would have ended up being done with the project. Let's just say he even did another $2,000 worth of work or $3,000 worth of work. And he ended up spending about, instead of $6,000, he spent $9,000. 9 plus 8, that gives you what's 9 plus 8? That's 17. So even if he spent $17,000, he would have still had about $31,000 equity once he was done. Now that equity, you could take that, go down to the bank and refi, pull all that out, and now you have money for another house. There's other stuff that you could do under this scenario as well. Another thing you could do is owner finance a house if you want to just let somebody else buy it, and you never have any obligation towards doing any repairs. You don't have to worry about the taxes or anything like that. And in Detroit, something like that is definitely doable because you're not talking about a lot of appreciation on these houses. Whatever value you got at the time when you do the rehab is probably the best value you're going to ever have out of that house, unless somebody moves out and you end up rehabbing it again to whatever the current market conditions are. But it's Detroit, so there's only so much that it's going to be able to appreciate. So if you want to capture all the equity and you want to go ahead and not have the responsibility towards actually doing the repairs and the maintenance on it long term, you know, figure on doing a 10, 15-year note on it, maybe even a 20, 25, 30-year note on it. You know, for all you know, you might end up getting somebody who's going to stay there a long time. But the point is that there's a lot of different things that you can do, especially if you know how to use a financial calculator. It's really simple. It's not too difficult. And for those of you who don't know how to use it that well, you can always call me up. I can go ahead and go through some numbers with you. But basically, for the purposes of what we're doing right now, I just want to go ahead and get through this. So basically, you got a situation where he was offered for this house, I think she said about $30,000. So originally the offer was about $30,000. They ended up settling on about, what was that? Ended up settling on around $31,000. I'm gonna have to rewind the interview now and listen to it. But what ended up happening was that at the end, there was a loss of about $3,000. So I think they were gonna go, oh, okay, that's right. We were at $33,000 on the sale price. So what ended up happening was the guy offered to buy it for $30,000. They counted at 35, settled on 33. Now, what ended up happening was that they ended up, nephew ended up offering to put new countertops, granite countertops in there. Here's the thing about a house that's rehabbed, that's dilapidated, that any kind of house, whenever an investor comes by and offers to buy a house from you, as is. Sell it as is. Don't make no promises about nothing, okay? In this case, he thought he was going to be able to get a hookup on the street, add some value to the deal, which I understand. It's totally understandable, especially when you're 25 years old. You think you got a street hookup, you're going to go ahead and get it in there, maybe spend you about $500, give him about $3,000 worth of value, you in like Flynn. So next time, just straight up as is. So anyway, so he promises to get this granite countertop, get down to the cell. Granite countertop hookup never comes through. The seller's getting mad. The buyer's getting mad. So at this point, nephew thought the deal was pretty much in the can on the closing day, and the buyer was kind of hesitant because he didn't have his countertops. So when they couldn't get a hold of the nephew, my cousin goes on ahead, has to step in and finish closing the deal since it's her money that's wrapped up in the deal and she just wants to get paid. So as it turned out, they end up settling on the price of $30,000, giving him a $3,000 credit toward the countertop. She tried to get in touch with nephew. Nephew wasn't available, didn't call back in time. The deal had closed, everything was done. He ends up with about, $17,000 in the deal. That's after paying back his auntie, my cousin. So $3,000. So we got rid of $3,000 on the countertops. So they end up selling for $30,000. Okay, now this is after about 2 months worth of expenses. And so we end up with about, after all was said and done, Janea was paid back. And what was it? She was paid back. He spent $6,000. It was an $8,000 rehab price. We got 2 months worth of payments, possibly 3. But all in all, she ends up with her money back, which was to get the $8,200. What the hell? Wait. So Janea ends up with the $2,400 plus the 2 months payments. Yeah, so Janea ends up with the $2,400 plus the 2 months of payments on her. So that's $2,400 and then 575, 575. So that comes out to, so Janea ends up with the $3,550 plus the money that she originally put in, which was the $8,000 for the $8,000 for the purchase price, plus the $6,000 worth of material that Andre had already spent. So that comes out to a total of Okay, 1755. 17,550 that is. So 17,550. So that's what Janea gets back. And that's out of the $30,000 profit over here by Dre. So there's basically gonna be Dre's profit is the difference between the 17,550 and the $30,000, which comes out to $12,450, which is what he walks away with. So, I mean, honestly, not bad. Not bad for 2 months worth of work at 25 years old, $6,000 a month. I mean, it's really not bad. You can't be mad. You walk away from your first real estate deal at 25 years old with $12,000. To be able to walk away with anything from a real estate deal, your first real estate deal at 25 years old is pretty remarkable in my book. So that's the point. If 25-year-olds are doing this in Detroit, what can you do in Detroit? I mean, think about that. If a 25-year-old is doing this in Detroit, here you are sitting in California, wherever it is you sitting at home, you got money in the bank, you got a nice fat retirement account, you may or may not have that self-directed IRA, but you have the ability to do this. And you can make extra money, you can make more than extra money, you can retire tomorrow if you wanted to on this stuff, but you gotta know what you're doing. And it takes some hustle, it takes some time to understand the game. But ain't nothing like it. Look, ain't nothing gonna come easy in life, all right? A lot of people will try to win the lottery, go get the lottery tickets all the time. That doesn't take any kind of skill other than knowing how to stand in line and give them the money for your ticket. But if you want to win the for sure lottery, learn how to use